My next guest is coming off an amazing performance over Chito Vera in the main event of UFC San Antonio, and he's so gracious to join me here today. It's Cory Sandhagen back here on the program. Cory, how are you, man?
I'm good, James. How you doing?
I'm doing great, but I was not the man of the weekend like you were. What a dominant win that was, man. It was really awesome to see as someone who's, I've followed your career for a very long time. Where does that win rank in terms of career moments? Because you've had a lot of good wins, a lot of good performances, but I think you might have looked your best on Saturday.
Yeah, I think I'm always working on like how my mental side of things works and all of that stuff. So I think I was able to really like narrow in on that big time for this one, I was just like super present, man. It was, how like some sports psychologists will describe things as almost like out of body experiences.
Yeah.
It felt a lot like an out of body experience almost where I wasn't like floating above the cage or anything, weird like that, but I was kind of just like being this like third party watcher of like just watching my body like fight him good,
Yeah.
which was it was super cool, man. I don't know, I almost can't even describe just the level of focus that I had, and just that third person point of view is just like a pretty cool thing.
What did you make of the critics? And I'm not necessarily talking about Chito because he's got to say this. It's his sort of talk leading up to the fight, but people saying that he was going to knock you out. And we had talked about this pre-fight where you don't get hit a lot. You've actually never been finished by knockout in the UFC. What did you make of that narrative going in?
That isn't that kind of what everyone says, man. That's like
Well, I think, but you know what though? Like, here's the thing though. Like, I could understand it if you had been finished before. People saying like, okay, like this is a guy that has been finished a couple times, but you've never been finished. And I know, every fight's different, but I still felt like that was kind of weird when people. It was almost as if people were treating you as any other opponent, whereas like, no, you're Cory Sandhagen.
Yeah, sure. I don't know, man. I don't take any of that stuff personally myself. I mean, like, I'll watch it again, like, as just like a spectator of like watching critics and watching whatever, and just be like, that's like, I mean, like the whole, hey, I'm gonna knock him out, blah blah blah, like I'm gonna hurt him, this that, like that's that storyline is so played out to me that it's almost like not even a thing that I even take into account in
Yeah,
my
it doesn't
head.
even enter your brain. It's just like, yeah, I'm not even worried about it. Yeah.
Like, yeah, of course he's gonna like try to knock me out. I mean,
Yeah.
if that's his game plan, then that's a phenomenal game plan for me because I'm like a tough dude to knock out. I'm not an easy guy to like get my hands on clean. So that's what he was trying to do. It felt like me and all of the coaches in between the rounds, every time it's like, hey man, he's gonna come out a little harder. Hey man, he's gonna come out a little harder. And we kind of knew that he's just that type of guy. Like he looks for finishes. He doesn't really look to win the minutes of the fight. He just looks for finishes. And as long as I like kept myself safe the entire time, that wasn't going to happen.
Gonna get a little philosophical, and I know you did this with Ariel a bit, but what for you sort of clicked, mentally, spiritually, everything in this fight? Was there like a moment that you kind of knew that you were on this sort of, like you said, different level, or was it just happening throughout the entire fight?
Yeah, sure. So I think that like along with like a lot of people maybe, but I think that me and specifically like a battle that I've constantly had to fight in my entire life was this idea of like this Buddhist idea of just being really present, letting go of all of attachments, and just being at peace with yourself and the way that things are. There's that, and then there's like this big giant like Michael Jordan side of me that just wants to like conquer all of sports and all of MMA and just like be this legendary figure that's going to be remembered for decades. And I think that the Michael Jordan figure is not really super true to my heart as far as like just want to like dominate everyone and wanting to win a bunch of stuff and have a bunch of success. Like that really clashes big time with the other side of me, which is this very present, not very attached to like material things type of guy. So in this camp, about a month and a half ago, maybe, or a month ago or something, I did have a moment where I was sitting on the couch and I was being that Michael Jordan guy. And with that Michael Jordan guy comes a ton of pressure and a ton of just like just negativity,
Mhm.
because you have to be really hard on yourself. And I was sitting on the couch and I just kind of remembered like, I'm not going to do that for the rest of my career. Like, I'm just not going to do it. Like, I'm not going to like not enjoy this thing. I'm going to enjoy this thing for the rest of the years that I have in it, so that when I'm done with it, I can say that I actually had a good time doing it.
Yeah.
Uh, I became big time that that like letting go of attachments, being peaceful, and not a peaceful in the sense of like I'm like just plugging my ears and saying like la 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 to like all of the things that are happening inside of me, but I'm just being like a third person's point of view as far as like all of my emotions go and all of that stuff, and I'm just enjoying like the experience of life and the experience of like where I am in my career. And I think that it definitely trickled way into the fight, and it made for like a really outstanding performance just because I was just so free.
Yeah. No, we saw the proofs right there. Anything about him at all that surprised you, or pretty much what you expected when you went in there?
More or less what I expected. He had a pretty good jab. He was using it pretty early. And I was like, oh man, I wasn't really expecting a good jab. But then I got around it a couple times, started countering it, and then he kind of just completely stopped using it. So he would have been better off just trying to use his jab a lot more throughout that fight. But no, that was kind of the only thing that really caught me off guard. I can't really think of anything else. We were super prepared for this one, man. We had like
Yeah.
4 months to get ready. So
Yeah, especially with the fight getting moved and everything, which is great.
yeah.
So what's going through your head when they go, 48-47 Chito Vera? Well, like, because I think even most people at home being like, where did this come from?
Yeah, that was pretty wild to me. I don't even know what to make of it, man. Like, well, I mean, what can you say? Like
I know it's just like it's crazy. Like it's not even like, yeah. I mean, if people had watched the fight, I don't think anyone could have scored that for him whatsoever. Like
it's unreal to me. It's like uh, so when I thought about it, and I of course rewatched the fight, and I was thinking, man, I was like, if you really, really hated me, like just if I walked by you, kicked your dog
yeah,
earlier that day, or like pushed you in the snow or in the mud or something, I could see how you would maybe give Cheeto 3 and 4.
yeah,
But like to give him round 5 even is just like ridiculous to me. And 3 and 4 kind of a little bit, but those ones I at least understand. Maybe if you hate me, but
yeah.
it was crazy. I don't even have words for how crazy that was. I was like one silly person away from having a broken heart and my career changing a little bit, which is kind
Yeah.
of scary. But I won, so it is what
It's
it
all
is.
good. Yeah, don't even worry about it. I got to give you full credit, man. Post fight, you call out Merab, and I mean, this was kind of my take on it. And I want to get sort of your mentality. I think you said Merab because you could have said O'Malley, right? Like O'Malley's the bigger fight. He's got a obviously more cachet, and I think even stylistically that's a good matchup for you. But did you call out Merab in the sense of kind of telling the division, I'll fight anyone. It doesn't matter who it is. Like it was that sort of your thinking of it? Or?
I think that because of the person that I kind of am, like being more comfortable with being like who I actually am,
Yeah.
I don't want to operate on a value system that is not like my own. And I know I'm sure like I think Chael made like a video of just how horrible the call out was, and
But see,
I
I know
didn't.
you well enough. I understood it because you've always been that way about like, I'll fight anyone. It's not about like trying to, maneuver around the rankings or whatever. You literally said, I'm going to fight the toughest guy with a little, like very little upside, right? If you think about it, because in terms of like cachet, O'Malley's the much bigger name. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's when it just comes down to the value thing. It's like, well, am I going to ask for this guy who, O'Malley's a good fighter, but he's not as tough of a challenge as Merab.
Mhm.
Am I going to call out that guy that I know is not as tough of a challenge just because I think that the guy, like, because everyone makes him out to be like a very famous, popular guy? And I was like, nah, I don't really care about the fame and the popularity too much. Like I'm going to operate on the value system that I have, which is ask for the toughest challenge. And that's Merab, and it's not O'Malley. So, yeah, that's hopefully who I get next.
Yeah, and how would a fight with you and Merab go? Just looking at that fight stylistically, we know what he did to Jan in his last fight. The guy's a machine. That's his nickname, right?
Yeah, Marab's definitely a great fighter, and he poses a ton of threats. Like with his conditioning, how much he presses, obviously the million shots that he's definitely going to take. But Jan, I was thinking about this afterwards. I was like, man, Jan is like not like as far as Merab and Jan go. Merab is a nightmare of a matchup for Jan. Jan doesn't throw things up the middle. He doesn't really like stay long. He welcomes people to come close to him. And that's exactly what Merab is going to do. Like, he's going to crush that. If you don't keep things in the center space or keep something between you guys, move your feet, like he's going to have like a field day. And that's what he did have against Jan. And me and Jan are completely separate fighters. Is striking, wrestling, grappling. We're completely different. So I don't anticipate the fight obviously looking like that. I think that I'll be able to do like Cory Sandhagen things, and of course, not giving away too much, even though it's not like the most obvious thing that I'm trying to hide. Like I'm gonna stay long from him, and I'm gonna fling a bunch of stuff up the middle that he's gonna have to worry about or run into.
What do you make of Umar Nurmagomedov possibly fighting Merab next? Did you hear about this? There's some talks of it. Merab's accepted, but I guess he's injured. But like, what do you think of the possibility of him getting that fight?
I actually have heard that, and I think that there maybe is some truth to it.
Mhm.
So
Well, I think it's true. I was asking if you're surprised a bit, just because Umar has not beat a ranked opponent. Now I understand there's a lot of guys don't want to fight him, so it's not really his fault. But what do you think about him? Because I would think Merab's close to a title fight. Umar like doesn't even have a ranked win yet.
yeah, sure. I know a lot of it comes down to the person saying yes or no, and I mean, Merab must have said yes to it. So if that's who he wants to fight next, then I guess that's who he wants to fight next. He's a guy that has a lot more leverage than I do as far as like asking for whatever opponent I want. He's the number one guy. So yeah, I don't really know, man. The rankings to me honestly don't really matter as much as they used to in life either, because they're I feel like more for the fans to understand the sport a lot better than we. But no, I think Umar's a very good fighter too. So that'll actually be a really interesting fight if that one does happen.
If you and Umar ever fought, how do you look at that one? Because again, he's been looking really good with his wrestling and everything else, right?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I honestly haven't watched enough of him in a space where I'm like trying to figure him out. Just kind of have just watched him, and I don't think he has too many fights in the UFC either. So it's really hard to get a gauge on that, anyways. But I to give you like an honest answer, I'd have to do a lot more film study of who he actually is.
No, that's why I like you, man. You're always honest with me. What about the title fight coming up with Sterling and Cejudo? How do you look at that one? I'm sure you're keeping an eye on that fight.
Yeah, that one's interesting. It's really hard. It's really tough to call. I think that the striking's going to be fairly close because Sterling's a lot longer. He's a volume guy. Henry's like a really clean, obviously like tactician, so he's very, very good on his feet as well. But I think that they're probably going to cancel each other out there. I think Henry's probably a little bit of a better striker, but Aljamain's a lot bigger, longer, and like can take advantage of his attributes a lot more in the striking area. I think that the grappling Henry's going to use more just to nullify rounds. I think that the striking's going to be pretty close. Henry's going to use takedowns just to nullify rounds, make it so that he's up on the scorecards, and then I foresee like a fight that goes like that. I honestly don't think that Henry's silly enough to get into a bunch of like grappling exchanges on the ground with Sterling. And I don't know that Sterling's good enough to just like run over, grab him, take his back, like he's known to do. So I think that it's going to be close, but I think if Henry can get some takedowns, he'll be able to nullify some rounds.
Always got to get you. Okay, I'm going to give you some rapid fire questions. I just want you to say what comes to mind first when I say this. So we'll do this as quickly as we can. Best striker in the UFC.
Me?
Okay. Best grappler in the UFC.
Ryan Hall.
Funniest fighter in the UFC.
Kevin Holland.
Who would you want to have dinner with the most on the UFC roster?
John Jones.
Okay. Who would you want by your side in a street fight?
Brandon Moreno.
Highest fight IQ in the UFC.
Highest fight IQ. Khabib, even though he's out.
And what is your dream fight, either yourself or someone else? What's a fight you would like to see or fight that you would want?
I always really wanted to fight Aldo and never got to, so it would be me and Aldo.
Damn, Merab ruined all that. No, I'm kidding. Obviously this was a fight, back in the US. I know you've also fought in Abu Dhabi as well. Do you prefer fighting stateside, or do you not mind getting some frequent flyer miles and, fighting abroad?
No, I would love to just fight in arenas in the US for the rest of my career.
Okay.
It was amazing, man. Like, it was so amazing. Like, when I walked out and there was actually like a crowd screaming for me, and and that arena was badass too. Like the sides went way up, so it felt like you were just in this pit with people surrounding you. Yeah, in the U.S., man, it was incredible fighting in front of in San Antonio, man. It was unreal. It was like one of my favorite life's like images in my head.
Yeah. You're getting married in September, which congratulations. You more stressed for that than some fight camps, or how you feeling about it?
Oh no, I'm not stressed about the wedding at all, man. Like,
Is your soon to be wife handling most of that?
yes, mostly. I mean, man, we haven't even mailed out our invitations because I've just been behind the ball. So I got to get actually that done probably this week. I'm actually heading to Canada here in a couple hours.
Oh, really?
Uh,
Whereabouts?
Going to Toronto.
Oh, nice. What are you doing
Yeah.
out there?
I'm visiting a buddy that I used to fight on the U.S. team with.
Oh, cool.
I'm gonna go see him, and then he lives a little bit outside Ottawa, so they're gonna pick us up, and then we're gonna go.
Okay,
Uh,
so not in Toronto, because Ottawa people. I don't know if people know this, but Ottawa is actually like a 5 hour drive or three, like from Toronto. It's actually pretty far away.
yeah, I think he's in between them or something. I don't know. He said he's a couple hours away from picking us up. So,
That's
uh,
cool.
yeah, I'm excited to go do that.
Is there going to be any fighters in your wedding party at all?
Uh, a couple of my coaches are going to be some of my groomsmen, Christian Allen and Carrington Banks. I'm going to ask. I haven't asked them yet. I've been so behind the ball,
Oh,
but
no worries. Well, they're going
uh,
to watch this and be like, "Wow, they feel pretty honored there." So that's great. Just a couple other quick things. We haven't spoken since Islam Makhachev defeated Alex Volkanovski. I know you're a student of the game. What did you make of that performance? Because that was an incredible fight from both ends, I thought.
yeah, it was amazing. It was inspiring. You know, like every once in a while, you catch a fight that really inspires you, and that was definitely one of those that really inspired me. Volkanovski is just an absolute animal. Went up in weight, was at like a big disadvantage, probably as far as like uh, just the grappling and how people thought he was going to be taken down, held down, all of this, and he rose up to the occasion, and he had the balls to like ask for that fight, and it was super inspiring, man. I'm a giant Volk fan before, and I'm an even bigger one now.
Do you think anyone beats Islam right now at 155? Because it's tough, man. He's looked great, right?
I think Beneil will win that fight. Like I honestly think that Beneil may be one of the only guys to beat Islam in that division.
Okay.
Gaethje's taking a run at the title too, and Gaethje's looking better and better each time too. So, um, yeah, that's where I got beating him. But I really want to see Beneil fight for the belt.
I know you don't pay attention to the rankings or anything, and this actually I don't even think matters. But what do you make of Colby Covington possibly getting the next shot against Leon Edwards?
Oh, yeah, I don't. Yeah, I think that there should be some type of rule as far as how long you can sit out, and then just jump back into a title. You know, like there's kind of that going on with Henry right now too, where it's like, thought you were retired, man. Like you've been really inactive. Like, am I allowed to just sit around for a couple years and then just fight whoever it is in 2 years? And I probably don't have that type of juice, but I think that there should probably be some rule against that. But I don't have many opinions really, anyways. So,
Yeah.
I don't have like an emotional feeling
No, no, of
about.
course. Yeah. No, I get it. But you do train with Kamaru Usman, and obviously Usman just fought Leon Edwards. What did you think of Leon's performance retaining the title?
Leon fought the smartest fight that you could possibly fight against Kamaru. And I think that when Kamaru gets another crack at him, he'll be a lot more prepared because it seemed like Leon just had a lot of answers for what Kamaru was doing, and I don't think Kamaru was really expecting that.
Okay, let's get to some fun stuff. You still doing the cold showers in the morning, or the cold plunges and all that?
Kind of. So I go to the rec center by my house twice a week, Wednesdays and Saturdays, or Wednesdays and Fridays, and I do the sauna for 15 minutes, and then I take like a really freezing cold shower. I count down from 300 to zero,
Oh wow.
uh,
Okay.
and I do that. I do that like three times, sometimes two times if I'm like really exhausted. But dude, that helps a lot actually. It like took I don't get like neck pain anymore because the cold tub kind of only goes up to here.
Yeah.
And I found that with the shower, if you do it long enough, like it'll flush out all of this stuff too, and even on my face and everything. So yeah, but I've been doing that.
Yeah, so I do. I mentioned this last interview. I do the cold showers every morning, usually every morning. I'm a little under the weather now, so I kind of skipped this morning, but I do that. But then I also kind of like you, I do the sauna twice a week, but I do 10-minute increments. It ends up being 30 minutes, but I do 10 minutes and then I just jump in the pool. They don't have a cold plunge, but I do like just 10 minutes in the sauna, shower, jump in the pool for like 30 seconds, then jump back in. And I find that's helped a lot, especially with like sauna's just like, I can't say enough good things about it. It's amazing.
Yeah, yeah, saunas are great. I love saunas.
That's great. And last question, any hikes coming up? Now that you don't have a camp, I'm sure you can go and get to see the great outdoors of Colorado.
No, I'm picking up a new hobby. I'm picking up fly fishing now because
Okay.
hiking's just too much of a pain in the ass now for me.
Okay.
All of the hikes that I want to do are just like too sketchy for like me now, like
Right.
I get like too afraid to like climb up class 3 stuff now for whatever reason. So I'm just going to be a fisherman now.
When did you get into fishing, or have you always fished?
So my buddy's teaching me how to fly fish now. No, I'm just getting into it. So yeah, I think I'm gonna try to get in a couple days next week because I still don't know how to cast or anything like that. But yeah, that's gonna be my new sport.
And just last question before we go, when would you like to get back in there as far as that next fight? Because I imagine you feel like, like you said, you want Merab or someone. I'm assuming it's another fight and then maybe a title shot. Is that kind of what you're looking at?
Sure. Yeah. I'm not sure. Honestly, I have to get a couple injuries checked out that
And the wedding too. So, right, that's in September. So,
yeah. I definitely want to fight before the wedding. Absolutely want to fight before the wedding. So if that means like July or August, then that would be ideal. But I did have like a couple things get really irritated in this last fight that I definitely need to take care of if I don't want them to be an issue for the next camp.
there you go. I'll tell you what isn't an issue. Doing these interviews, man, I appreciate it. If there's anyone you want to thank before we get out of here, I feel like every time we do this, you say, no, I'm good, but I got to ask anyways. I'll give you the last word.
Nah, I'm good. Thank you for watching my fights. Thanks for having me on, James, and I hope you have a good week.